All right, it's wonderful. My name is Gregory Carmichael, and I will be presenting Bully Prevention 1. Later, just briefly, there is a Bully Prevention 2. Um, the first honor is not a prerequisite for the second honor, so you can do either Bully Prevention 1 or Bully Prevention 2. I'm so happy that I've been invited to present this honor to you. This honor is a passion
Mhm.
for me. I've taught it to my club, and it's just wonderful. The topics we go through and the different aspects. You know, children have an opportunity, or even adults have an opportunity to understand the different aspects of bullying, and some of these things we will touch on as we go through the honor. So fasten your seatbelts, get ready. Here we go. This is just this is how I look in my uniform. This was
Woohoo!
actually taken at the camporee.
There
I
you
had a
go.
great time. You don't see me smile like that too often, but I do. I had a wonderful time. I met up with some friends that I have not seen in about 20 years in this particular picture, and it was just so good to see them. And I had a great time at that camporee. Even though a lot of my time is spent at the drum and drill, but which, hopefully I'll get to enjoy the camporee, God's willing, if Jesus doesn't come at the next camporee, I will be walking around this time and having a great time. Nonetheless, I sit on the honors task force, working with Mark and the team to modify honors and create new honors for everyone, just like you guys. All right, requirement number one. Let's jump right into it.
And by the way, Mr. Carmichael, there is
Yes.
the worksheet that is available on the Facebook streams. There's the link, whether it's the NAD or the British Union Conference Facebook. There's the link for the worksheets, as well as if you receive the email from eClub. Make sure you will need the worksheet for this. Make sure to go press print if you haven't already. Okay, Mr. Gregory, go for it.
Thank you. All right, we have quite a bit of slides to go through, so I'm going to do my best to stay on time. If you have any question, please feel free, Mark, to just interrupt, and I'll be happy to
Mhm.
answer the questions.
Yep,
All
chat
right,
windows are great things.
great. And I have mine up and running right here. Great. Okay, requirement number one, give a basic definition of bullying. And what we want to do with this honor is differentiate between bullying and conflict.
Mm.
What is bullying? Bullying is a repeated behavior, something that we do on something that someone does on a consistent basis, but with an objective. They want to cause harm. They want to make you feel bad, especially when you cannot defend yourself. So when someone constantly talks about you or they say things about you every single time, it's just a repeat. It's on and on and on. It's not like you're just making fun of somebody, but you do it on a repeated basis and it continues. And the purpose is to harm you. The purpose is to make you feel bad about yourself. And it gives the bully control over you. There's a difference between bullying and conflict. Conflict is a disagreement. We get into conflicts all the time, at school, at work. We get into conflicts. A conflict is something that is somewhat natural. It's a disagreement. You believe strongly about one thing versus someone else who feels strongly about another thing. But the thing about a conflict is that you have the same goal. That's why it's a conflict. You're trying to reach the same point, but from more perspectives. So in this definition, we say a conflict is a disagreement or an argument where two or more ideas are strongly supported. Okay? Difference between bully and conflict.
I'm also noticing here, Mr. Gregory, that you've got the same number of people on both sides of the conflict, because normally conflict you have at least two groups, sometimes three or four different groups, but
Mhm.
it's not like there's one super strong making you do what they want you to do or whatever. It seems to be that this is more equals, whereas I saw in your bully picture it was like a whole bunch of people on one person,
Right. Let's
an
let's take a
imbalance of power. So I saw those pictures, I was like, ooh, I bet you he's going to go there.
yeah, let's take a look at that. Notice in this picture how this young lady here feels bad because these individuals behind her, 5 of them, a group, are all agreeing to make fun of her. They're isolating her. They're making her feel horrible about herself. Maybe it's her clothes, maybe it's her hair. Whatever it is, they find it funny and they're in agreement against her, versus a conflict where it's not a bully situation. It's one group, the blue side, and they are in agreement, but they oppose, not, well, I don't want to use the word oppose, but they disagree with the group on the green side who also agree. So these are 2 groups, like-minded, but they have conflict with one another. But because they're in a room, they are just trying to get to a point where they can compromise. So it could start off as a conflict, but it doesn't necessarily have to end as a conflict. And this happens all the time. Meetings, all the time. This happens.
Okay.
You get into a group study, one group feels one way, one group feels another way, but you have the same goal and objective. So you find a way to compromise and come together and agree. Thank you, Mark, for bringing that out. Thank you. Now, there are different types of bullying. We have verbal bullying, physical bullying, prejudicial bullying. Now, these 3 we're going to talk about in this particular honor. The bully prevention 2 honor, we talk about relational aggression, cyberbullying. That's a big deal. Cyberbullying is a big deal. And we also touch on sexual bullying. So yes, all 6 topics are important, but the only reason why we have a bully 1 and a bully 2 is so we can divide the content and we can spend more time on each topic. So for this honor, we're focusing on verbal bullying, physical bullying, and prejudicial bullying.
Okay.
Verbal bullying. What do we see here? We see 2 individuals making fun of another individual, laughing at her, pointing at her. It's a horrible feeling. It's terrible. Even when you're in church, you feel that you have friends, but verbal bullying, it hurts. Verbal bullying is when someone uses phrases or statements or name calling to control you. And the reason this is done is it's to gain control of you. It's intended to take place repeatedly. So every time they see you in the hallway or when they see you walking to the store, they find something, anything. But notice, it's by a group or it could be one person. But the purpose of it, the goal of it is to make you feel bad about yourself. So they will call you a name. Hey, so-and-so, how is so-and-so doing today? It's hurtful. And you wish it would stop, but then they try to gather other individuals to make it more hurtful to you. So other people will agree that it's true to make you reflect on yourself.
Now,
So
Mr. Gregory,
yeah.
I'm a teacher, so I know that sometimes verbal bullying isn't super loud. Sometimes it's just a whisper in the corner.
Yes, it is.
Or just a turn in one word at somebody else as you pass them in the hallway at school, but everybody knows, or at least the people that are close by that are supposed to know that somebody was being bullied, somebody was being put down.
That's right. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that out because there's a particular slide, which is my favorite, that we're going to get to in this presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to that. So verbal bullying doesn't have to be loud and big and ha ha ha, top volume. Many times it's not.
It's right. It's silent. It could be a look. It could be a group of individuals just looking at you. They could say something, hey, pointy head, or something like that. Pointy head, point, and they start doing things just to aggravate you. They know it's pointed at you, and you hear it often, so you know it's for you. And when they start asking, oh, hey, what are you guys talking about? Oh, well, look at so-and-so. We're talking about his head. Next thing you know, the group starts to build, and they start to isolate you, and they start to identify you.
So verbal is about words. So verbal is a way of different ways words are used to make somebody else look bad.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you said there were some other types too. You're going to,
yes.
I'm sure this isn't the only type we experience.
The next one, physical bullying. Well, we know what physical bullying is. This is when someone uses force to control another person, when they grab your shirt or pull you up, or they bite, they hit, they kick, they punch, any way for them to get their aggression out towards you, to make you feel the bullying, make you feel the pain, to make this person is usually stronger than you, they're bigger than you, they're taller, they may be faster, different types of physical bullying, anything to put harm on your body is physical bullying. And I know some of you see this, you know, a bump on the while you're walking in the hallway, someone bumps you on the side, or they trip you when you're walking in class, or they do something to physically harm you. That's physical bullying. Okay? Prejudicial bullying. Oh, this is a hurtful type of bullying. Prejudice is something that some of us experience, if not all of us. It could be on a regular basis, but look at this picture. Look at this picture in particular. This young lady is walking the hallway. Now, it's obvious based on her dress, she's of a different culture. But the individuals around her bully her. Mm-hmm. Look at what they're doing to her, making her feel bad about what she has on, making her feel bad about her clothing, about her rep. Look, prejudicial bullying is when someone makes fun of another person because of where they're from, what country they could be from, their culture, their race, their religion, or how they.
Okay, I think we just had silence happen.
An agenda that is not necessarily comfortable. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Carmichael, we had a question come in on the Zoom chat. Sure. It says, and I think they're comparing these different type of bullying we talked about and trying to figure out, they say, what about popular practical jokes on someone? Are those ways of verbal bullying, or we could even say any type of bullying? Are practical
Yes, it is
bullying.
It is. That could be defined as verbal bullying, because you're saying the objective is to say something about someone. You're trying to highlight something particular about someone. I remember when I was young, we were I was part of the boys club, and it was this was back in the 80s, 1980s. I was part of the boys club, and there was this particular individual who well, you know, when you're young, certain parts of your body grow before others. But this particular person his head was pretty big, and he was bald, but it was shaped a little differently. And the guys would just make fun of him every day. Every day he comes in, they make fun of him. They're pointing out something about him, and they're drawing unwanted attention to him. And because
and so he wasn't having fun, was he?
No, he was not having no fun. He would come in, his mother would drop him off and we were at the boys club during the summer all day, and all day he would endure this. And all it took was just to make a friend, just someone to appreciate that he wanted to have fun too. But every day you had a group of guys, they would just highlight it. But after a while, it was not fun anymore because people just got tired of it. It was just boring. You're saying the same thing all the time. So that's what we're going to talk about later. When we get to a certain slide, we're going to highlight different things about bullying. But to answer your question, yes.
And I'm guessing part of it is attitude, because you were talking earlier about how we're trying to make somebody feel bad when we're bullying. Mm-hmm. Our attitude, sometimes we're not very honest about what's going on inside of our hearts and heads. And we want to say it's just a practical joke or it's no big deal. But if we're honest with ourselves, we know it's not. We know that we don't like them or feel threatened. Right. You know, we want a balance of power. We want to feel more powerful. We want to feel like we got them this time. And so if we're honest with ourselves, we probably have all bullied and been bullied, because bullying is a human condition. It's part of fallen nature. Ever since the snake in the garden, we have the fallen nature that says we want to be in control. We want to have power. We want to shift the blame or shift the guilt somewhere else. So that puts us in a position to bully and be bullied, or to just be awkward somewhere in between. I know Mr. Carmichael is going to show us some of that awkward in between as part of his presentation too. Mm-hmm. That's right. So be honest with yourself, I guess would be good advice, right, Mr. Carmichael?
That's right.
Be honest with
yourself.
yourself.
Practice what you have been taught. Don't follow. One thing my mother taught me, do not follow the crowd. Have your own sense of stability. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what we mean by that.
Let's keep rolling. Thank you so much for that question, because practical jokes sometimes have to be, we have to think those through. So thank you.
That's right. This will take us to requirement number 3.
Woo.
Briefly describe the difference between self-acceptance, self-esteem, and personal identity. Share how you think self-reflection, a healthy amount of these qualities, could protect someone from experiencing a bully situation. Let's talk about self-acceptance. This is accepting yourself. This is a self-reflection. You know how you are. Nobody could tell you about you better than you can. This is self-acceptance, self-appreciation. This is accepting your strengths and your weaknesses. No matter who you are, everyone has strengths and weaknesses. No matter what others think or how they view you as a person, you have to be confident in yourself, building your self-acceptance. Love you. And if you love you and accept you and know your strengths and weaknesses, when someone tries to highlight your weaknesses, it won't affect you so much. Why? Because you know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. You're already familiar with yourself, and it's not going to bother you. For example, you're playing basketball and you don't jump. Does that mean, okay, you know that. You know you don't jump. But just because somebody who jumps real high wants to make fun of you, oh, you can't jump, you can't do this. Well, you know that. So it's not something that's going to bother you so much. You're not a jumper, but maybe there are other things you can do. So you focus on your strength and you already know your weaknesses. Okay? So that's self-acceptance.
Okay.
Self-esteem. This is feeling happy or satisfied about your abilities. This is you being happy about yourself and comfortable with yourself. Okay? You know, I'm happy with who I am. Okay? My name is Greg. I'm happy with who I am. Now, you have individuals that may not be happy about themselves, and they're looking at you, wishing they could be like you. So you know what they do? They bully you. They want to make you feel bad about yourself. But the thing about self-esteem, you are feeling a sense of satisfaction. You're satisfied with yourself. You're going to build yourself up. You appreciate yourself. Self-esteem, it's key. See, these different things help you when you're in a bully situation. When people are finding things to talk about you, you build your self-confidence, your self-esteem. And this brings us to, guess what? Personal identity. This is understanding yourself as an individual and your role in society. No matter who you are, when you walk into school, you feel confident about yourself. You know, I'm going to do good today. I feel great. I'm going to do all my work today. I'm going to be great today. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to make good friends. Personal identity, feeling good about you and your role in society and knowing the goals you have for yourself. You understand, again, your strengths and your weaknesses, and you understand your limits. You know not to push yourself over the edge. You know just how fast you could run. So you know when to stop. You don't have to run around the whole track to impress somebody. No, you know, I could run this far, I'm good. I could jump this high, I'm okay. I could write this much, I'm okay. I can stay up this late, I'm okay. It's understanding your self-esteem, understanding yourself. And this, I tell you, will help you when you get into those bully situations, because we all experience them. As adults, we experience bully situations on our jobs. We do that. It's not just you guys, it's all of us. All right? This brings us to...
And so, Mr. Carmichael, can I interrupt you for just a moment and ask, because I know when I was a Pathfinder, I didn't have my self-esteem and personal identity and self-confidence all figured out yet. I was like getting there. And there were some times that I was more and sometimes not so much. Is it okay to not have it all figured out when you're yet?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to have this all. This is a part of you developing. This is a part of you growing up. This is a part of you figuring out yourself, who you are. And that's not something that you know right now. You don't have to know that right now. And not only that, it changes as you get older. So, but the thing about this is that you learn to appreciate yourself and your limits. You could, from today, you could change next week. You could develop new interests. You could focus on something new. It's understanding and appreciating who you are and understanding your role in society. So yes, you don't have to have any of it now. You don't have to understand yourself now, but as you get older, you understand. But
and so what you're saying is we don't have to have it all figured out,
no,
but if we can start to believe in ourselves and start to know that we are valuable to God and that there's good things that we do, and as we grow, we'll be less susceptible to bullying. Is that what you're
that
telling
is
us?
correct.
That
That
as
is
we
correct.
figure this out and as we try to, we'll be less susceptible to being on the receiving end of a bully situation?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
What you
That's
do
a
is you
good,
want to,
that's a good thing.
that's right. Okay. Let's bring this to requirement number 4. Memorize and explain 4 basic rules of bully prevention. Okay.
I notice it says memorize. I bet you that's so that when we're in the moment, we can we just know it. We can just do it, right?
This is something you could write down, something that you could hold on with you, hold on. And when the situation comes, you always refer to these rules.
You just know it. Okay.
First one, we will not bully others. Okay. First rule, don't be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. And doing that, you will not be a part of bullying someone else. You will not be a tag along. And we're going to talk about those different roles of bullying. Don't bully other people. And if you know you're a bully, stop. Because it's not nice to be on the receiving end of being bullied. Okay? Don't bully others. Number 2, we will try to help students who are bullied. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, the different roles in a bully situation.
You're asking us to do some hard things, Mr. Gregory.
Yes, it's hard. These things are hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we get to that, my favorite slide, I keep saying it, but it's going to bring all of this together. You'll see.
Okay.
We'll bring all of it together. The third one, we will try to include students who are left out. These are individuals who may be nervous. They may be shy. They want to be a part of the group, but they don't know how. But you as a Pathfinder, you as a young person, you are growing up. You're in the Pathfinder ministry, you know better. You've been taught better. You include them. When you see someone being left out, you include them in the group. You introduce them to everyone. You never know. That might be your best friend for life. You don't know. The 4th rule, if we know somebody is being bullied, we will tell. Okay? Again, back to my favorite slide. We'll get there. You will tell. You will not be a bystander. You will tell an adult at school, at church, or an adult at home. You will tell. You will not be silent. Okay? If someone is being bullied and everyone says you are a bully, when you join together and you say you are a bully, you can help the situation. You tell, you make sure others know what's going on. And don't keep it to yourself or laugh, because when you do that, believe it or not, you're a different type of bully. And we're going to talk about that.
I like how Jeremiah in the chat window, he does a lot to echo your second rule. The one that says we will try to help students who are bullied. He says, don't join in when somebody else is being bullied. Instead, try to help.
That's right.
That's a very practical application of rule number 2, isn't it?
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Don't join when someone else is being bullied. That's right. Because
help instead.
That's right. It's enabling the bully. It's making the bully feel that he's right. It's helping him. It's encouraging him. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, so Mr. Carmichael, I've noticed you use the word him a lot. Is it? Oh, does bullying only happen if you're male? If you're like in guy circles and all that?
You know what? Statistics have shown that a lot of bullying, can take place with girls, with females.
So no matter what,
Yes.
we
No
we
matter
we
what.
we can be part of this whole bully situation
Mhm.
and choose where we choose to be.
That's right.
Okay.
Bullying happens. It could be a young lady bullying a young man, a young fella. It could be a fella bullying a girl, a boy bullying a girl. It goes any which
Always.
way around.
Okay.
Always. Boy bullying boys, girls bullying girls.
Okay.
It's not one. It's anybody. It could be an adult bullying a child.
Mm,
It could go anywhere. Adult bullying adults. That
okay.
bullying happens. There are different types of bullying. It happens. It could happen in any situation.
Which goes back to our whole thing that bullying is part of the human condition because we live in a bad world.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Well, keep rolling for us.
Let's move on to requirement number 5. What are some of the signs to look for that could determine if an individual is suffering from some form of bullying? This is a requirement that requires you to keep your eyes open. All right.
Right there.
Look. Verbal bullying. Okay. A victim of verbal bullying often shows clear signs that there is a problem. First thing, they're restless, they're irritated, they're fearful. Now, you know your friend is always cheerful, having fun, having a great time, you laugh, but all of a sudden now, they're restless, they're irritated, something's bothering them, they're scared.
Mm.
This is not my buddy. Second rule, they may show signs of physical illness, such as they want to vomit, or they have an upset stomach, or they have a headache. Something's just not right. You know something's going on. Or they often separate themselves or pull themselves away from others to avoid further unhappiness. Now, you know you and your buddy, you hang out all the time. Y'all go to the park, you have a great time. And all of a sudden, their attitude changes. They don't want to go nowhere anymore.
Okay.
They're keeping to themselves. These are things to look for. On the other hand, though, keep this in mind, not all victims of bullying show outward indications of mistreatment. It does not negate the fact that they may be suffering or feeling some form of rejection. It is our job, young people, to monitor our friends. I know it sounds something crazy to do, but you will know if that person is your friend, even if they're not your friend. It could be someone in the hallway, somebody new. If you know that they're not outward speaking, or they keep to themselves, or they just minding their business, and something's not right. And you, as a young person, as a friend, you can befriend that person. That's part of our job as Pathfinders, right? We talk to people, get to know people. Okay, so these are things to watch out for verbal bullying. For physical bullying, I went too far. 1 second. Yes, physical bullying. A victim of physical bullying also shows clear signs. They come home with bruises, or they come around you, they have a bruise or a cut that they cannot explain or don't want to explain. Mm-hmm. You see damage or missing clothes, that their clothes are torn, or their book bag is ripped, or missing books or personal items, right? They're sad, they're depressed. Um, they don't want to go to any more group functions. They don't want to be bothered with nobody. Or one key thing, you and your friend usually travel a certain way to go home. All of a sudden, they don't want to go that way anymore because they know what's waiting at the corner. They avoid particular groups. These are good signs. These are highlighted signs that you got to pay attention to. John, why? What's wrong? We go this way all the time. What's the matter? Something's not right. They complain they don't feel well before school or school activities. If they're your friend, you know something is wrong. Okay? So you know something is wrong. And again,
Now,
it's our, yes.
Now, because we're in the middle of COVID and most of us are in lockdown, my guess is that physical bullying may not be as much a part of our world right now.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is the bully prevention #2, when it talks about cyberbullying,
Oh,
my guess is that versions that are similar to your list but are, you know, on our phones and on our devices.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing that with the smart Pathfinders that we have here can probably figure out what the equivalent is for the COVID world right now, where we're kind of separate
Right.
and not hanging out very much. Um,
That's right.
you know, those depressive conversations that all of a sudden you're like, oh, my friend's not quite on their game. You know, when all of a sudden one of your friends isn't texting you or social media you like they used to, or when
That's
the
right.
pictures that they post all of a sudden are getting pretty dark.
That's right. They're not.
You
They're not. See, that's right.
you know, you can sense if you just take the time and take some prayer time to say, dear Lord, I'm guessing that my friends are, you know, fill in the blank. Can you help me sense? Can you help me understand?
Mm-hmm.
If possible, can you help me intervene? You know those rules Mr. Gregory talked
That's
about?
right.
Those
Mm-hmm.
rules are the same no matter what type of bullying.
That's right. Actually, I think those rules. I didn't look at the honor again, but I believe those rules are also in bullying too, because we
They
take the
are.
same rules. Good. That's right.
I remember you made sure that list of rules was in both honors.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you did that.
So
All
just
right.
wanted to say that for, since we're in COVID world, I wanted to mention that even though I know you're not teaching cyberbullying as part of this one.
I know. I wish we had the time. I really wish.
I know.
I really wish we did.
Keep rolling for us.
Right. Let's bring us to requirement number 6. What are the different roles people play when being part of a bully situation, often described as the bully circle? Which roles have you witnessed happen in situations you have seen or been involved in? Now, I want you to pay close attention to this chart.
Okay, so before you go there, let's go back to the question because we're going to use a chat window here, Mr.
Mhm.
Carmichael, if that's okay with you.
Sure, sure,
Which
sure.
of the roles have you witnessed happen or been involved in? And some of you will, most of us will have multiple answers.
Mhm.
Okay, so Mr. Carmichael is going to explain some different roles, some different places in bullying that we found ourselves in. See
You
if you
ready?
can chat with window with us what you see. Here we go.
You go. Look at this situation, and let me look at the chat message and see what comes up. I'll
Okay,
give
so
you.
tell us a little bit what's happening there. Help us see the yellow bubbles.
Okay, the first one, we have the reinforcers. Look at the top here and look at these two individuals. They're the reinforcers. Well, these individuals are not necessarily involved in the bully situation, but they are a part of the circle. They are encouraging the bully. The bully is in the red shirt with the number 8 behind his back. He's the one who is the primary bully. Who is he bullying? The target, the individual in the pink shirt. Okay? Now, notice how even though the bully is saying things and he has his fist up in the air, look at the person in the green shirt that is between the two. He's called the assistant. He is helping the bully to accomplish his goal. He's also assisting the bully. So he's the bully's assistant, or he's the number 2 guy. The bully is the number 1 guy, and the assistant, or number 1, is holding him down. Look what assistant number 2 is doing. He's the lookout. He's looking to see if anyone's coming, so the bully can continue what he is doing. Okay? Now, we talked about the enforcer, the target, the bully, and the assistant. Again, the bully is the individual who is actively bullying someone. The target is the victim of the bully, the person who he focuses his attention on. The reinforcers, these two guys here, fight, fight. See what they're saying? They support the bully by creating the audience.
So he's like the number 1, the assistants are like the number 2, the reinforcers are like the number 3.
Number 3s.
But then you haven't mentioned that group on the left. There's that arrow
We're going to
pointing
talk
finger for
about them
who are
right
they?
now. These individuals are who we are as Pathfinders and young people.
Well, I would tend to say that we probably have shown up in all of these areas, Mr.
That's right.
Gregory.
No,
If I
we
can be
have.
if we can just be honest with ourselves, we have found ourselves in all of these spots.
But watch this. I'm going to show you the difference, what makes the outsider the most hurtful. The outsider are the ones that watch, but they choose not to play any role in the bullying. They just watch to see what's going on. They're not going to say anything. They're just going to watch, observe, and walk away. These are individuals that could help. These are individuals that can tell adults. These are individuals that can say, stop. But they are just watching. Look at outsider number one at the top in the red shirt. He's just yarning. Oh, another day at school. Oh, these guys do it all the time. Oh, I will just mind my business. So he yarns and he just does what he has to do.
Yep.
Look at these two outsiders. They're like, oh, look at this. They're standing right there. They are witnesses. They're eyewitnesses as to what's going on. But they just watch and they just don't say anything. So this is called the bully circle. Now watch this.
Now question, you didn't show in this bully circle, you didn't show anybody that was a helper or trying to change the situation for the positive.
That was an expanded chart.
Okay.
Actually, in the honor, there are many sections of the bully circle. So I focused on these 5 here. But when you go through the honor Pathfinders, you're going to see that there are many roles.
So I'm hoping we could move from being outstanders to being the one that's not here, the helpers. Because my guess is if there gets to be enough helpers, then all of a sudden the rest of the circle kind of falls apart.
They could turn the situation around.
Yeah.
They can turn the situation around because right now the bully is being enforced. He's being encouraged. There's no one there on the opposite end to say, no, it's not right. Okay. And again, just to repeat, those who bully, they serve as the source of the bullying towards others. They're the source of it. And in most cases, they encourage and they're justified to continue. The target is any person, anyone can become a target of the bullying, as long as their actions or words are opposite to the higher rank. Because in bullying, there's ranking. The first one at the top of the rank is the bully. The second are the assistants. If you look at every situation, there's always a primary person, okay? And there's always the backup to encourage. The reinforcers, these are individuals who are not directly involved in the bullying, but they play a role, which is enough to encourage the aggression towards the target. The outside.
Okay, Mr. Gregory, going to interrupt you for a moment because we got a really good question.
Sure.
The question says, is it wrong that if someone tries to bully me, I'm mean to them back?
Well, the Bible does tell us, do unto others as we would have others do unto us. It does say that. And in bully situations, I'm not going to, I'll be the first to say.
Doesn't that go back to the rule that says if you're being bullied or know somebody's being bullied, talk to an adult at school and at home?
It does.
It has a cover for that, right?
It does.
You may have to swing to get out of the immediate situation, but that's probably about it, because you can solve it using the 4 bully rules, right? I mean,
it's best in this situation. It is best if you're in a bully situation. You can't keep that to yourself. You should tell somebody. You should tell an adult. You should find your teacher. Or if it's not a school situation, you find an adult, your parents. You let them know this is going on, and you make them informed of the situation. You have to do that. You can't keep things like this to yourself. It's not good for you. It's not good for your health. It's not good for you to live in fear. You remember we talked about all these things earlier where you're walking in fear. You're avoiding the situation.
So we go back to the 4 rules because people who are choosing bully behavior will keep doing it unless it's no longer beneficial to them or unless there's no longer the rest of the circle, right? Because if they don't have a circle, they're pretty much out of luck, right?
That's right.
So if we can be part of the solution that collapses, squishes the circle, then the person who thought it was a cool idea to be a bully can be rescued from that idea and get to better things in better ways.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Are there any more questions before
That's the
we?
ones I have for right now. Go ahead and go on to your next slide.
Okay, great. Let's move on to requirement number 7. What are the possible long-term consequences for those who remain bullies?
Mm.
Mm, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, so that's before you go to the answer. Go back to the question. Don't give away the answers yet, Mr. Gregory. I want
Sure.
to hear. I want to see some. I want to see some chat possibilities. What are some possible long-term consequences for those who remain bullies? What do you think can happen to them long-term? Are there some bad things? Are there bad things that can happen to bullies if they keep choosing bully behavior and keep choosing that way of dealing with stuff? What do you think? Go ahead and use your chat window here, and
Yes, guys.
let's hear what you think.
What you think. Let's see what ideas you come up with. What are some possible long-term consequences? Not tomorrow, not next week, but long-term if they remain a bully, bullying everyone every day, all the time, and they just do this for a long time. What do you think of some of the things long-term that could happen? Always angry. I see that. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. No friends. That's right. That's right.
I like how somebody named iPhone says, "What about if the teacher doesn't do anything? You need to find another teacher and another adult at home. That's why you're talking to 2 adults and not just one."
That's right. They may become more destructive. These are good answers. Mental
Okay,
health. Mm.
so so pent up anger, mental health problems, angry, abusive to future partners,
Mm-hmm.
bad
Bad.
reputation.
Yeah, these are good answers.
Yeah.
These are good answers. So let's see what we've come up with in the honor. Ah, higher risk of having issues with self-control.
They mentioned that
That's right.
the ongoing being angry kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure did. Let's see. More likely to be violent. Yes, someone mentioned that. Bad behavior. That's right. Not good at building good relationships. Someone mentioned that. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to keep employment. Why? Because they can't get along with anyone. Remember, a bully wants to be in control of the situation all the time. And when you're like that, people don't want to work with you. They don't want to be around you. They don't want to associate with you. Look at this picture as an example. Look
Mm-hmm.
how he's yelling at the person. This is a situation where you could see this happens all the time. And this person here with their hands over their ears, they're the victim. They're the target. And notice this is not necessarily a group. This could be an employment situation where the one doing the yelling is the boss and the one with his hands over his ear is the employee. Or this could be a school situation. As remember we talked about it could be adults. Well, this is a
Mm-hmm.
good example. These are 2 adults right here. Okay? So the gist of it is growing up being a bully is not good for you. And if anyone on this doing this honor right now, if you know you are a bully or you know someone who is a bully, this
Or
could affect you in the long run. It could affect you in the long run. So I encourage you to look through the honor, look at the rules. Remember the first rule? Don't be a bully. Okay? Don't be a bully. Don't
which
be a
may
bully.
mean that we have to learn some better behaviors of what to do when we're not getting it our way or when we feel like something's not going. We may have
That's
to learn
right.
some new techniques, but I bet you there are teachers and Pathfinder leaders and pastors and parents that would love to assist you with things to do instead.
That's right. That's
There are
right. And I
always better
encourage you.
ways
That's
to
right.
handle relationships and better ways to handle
Mhm.
communication and life and stuff.
That's
Um,
right. How much time do
because
I have
we've
left?
you have about 15
Oh,
10
great.
minutes. You've got time.
Okay.
You're doing
Great.
about
Great.
right.
Okay. Well, this brings us to our next slide. What is next? Mm. Well, we've gone over the first 7 requirements of the honor. The
Mhm.
remaining portion of the honor, which we're going to go through each of the activity requirements, they require you to start taking what you've learned from requirement 1 to 7 and now applying it. So let's go through some of these requirements here. Requirement number 8, briefly describe how the following biblical examples of demonstrate bullying, and how it relates to our responsibilities as followers of Christ. In the honor, you're going to see 3 highlighted texts. One talks about David and his brothers, how David was bullied by his brothers. The second is about, I'm sorry, not bullied by his brothers. I was talking about Joseph. With David, how he was treated, how he was looked down upon from his brothers. With Joseph and his brothers, it was just jealousy. They were jealous of how his father treated him versus his brothers. So we talk about that. And with David and his brothers, it asks you to go to 1 Samuel 17. For Joseph and his brothers, we go to Genesis chapter 37, Mary and Judas, John chapter 12, verses 1 through 7. So that's something for you to expand on, something for you to work on with the group. Okay.
And so, Mr. Gregory, when we say activity requirements, some of these will require that Pathfinders, because a lot of our clubs are not meeting live, that we simply meet with a Zoom group with maybe our counselor or our director or another trusted adult, and we do the discussions and activities probably via Zoom, but in a way that allows us all to talk, which is why you didn't have us do it here, because there's way too many of us, right?
Yes, there's too many of you, and if we had time, we could go through them. But a lot of the honor now, it's not just understanding what bullying is, but also being in the situation, understanding the situation. When we go through some of the requirements, you're going to see exactly what I'm referring to. If you go to number 9, have a guest speaker or a trained professional give a presentation about the following impacts of bullying. I didn't list them here, but I'll tell you. First, how a person can become the target of bullying. How is that possible? Short-term and long-term effects of bullying. How pulling someone down will never help you to reach the top.
Okay, so something that you would have a guest speaker or trained professional
to talk about.
Now that can happen even with COVID because Zoom exists, right?
That's right.
Definitely possible. Just takes a little bit more creativity. You may have to ask one of your adults to help you get that presentation. Okay, yes. Number 10.
Number 10. Discuss a time when each of the following may have occurred. What is one thing that might have changed the situation or averted the bully situation? Listed.
Okay, so a discussion, right?
Yes, this question is an open discussion, open question. One of the topics is a person was bullied because he or she did not follow the styles or fashion of others. What does that mean? It's a situation, say for example, the latest sneakers that come out and you don't have them, but everyone else does. Or a person that went along with the bullying in order to feel accepted by others. Or the third one, a person's choice of words was interpreted by another as bullying. Okay, so these are discussion questions. Number 11, discuss from a Christian's perspective what options are available if you become the target of verbal, physical, or prejudicial bullying. Briefly describe some actions you can take to stay safe. Remember the rules of bullying prevention. Remember the rules we talked about earlier, the 4 rules? So in this situation, this is also another question, where a question for discussion. You could tell the bully to stop, but in a Christian-like manner. You could try to engage the individual by laughing off the joke. This may offset the person's approach since this may not have been expected. You could walk away from the situation and keep your distance, or you could find an adult who can help stop the bullying, okay? To stay safe, encourage you to talk to an adult. We talked about this before. Talk to an adult. This person may be your next door neighbor. It could be an elder in the church. It could be a member of the church. It could be the pastor.
Right.
The act of telling someone serves to ease the frustration. You're releasing this, okay? And you can make that person part of the solution.
Okay, Mr. Carmichael, help us out because we've got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
it give us some general rules, because there's several things that we just need to, write down and brainstorm with a group of people, right?
Okay.
So
And we
are there
have,
any of these that are different than a discussion? Because discussion, they could probably talk about what 10 through 13 for sure, all in
mhm,
one Zoom session with their adult person, and brainstorm, work together, come up with solutions, remember the stuff that we've learned this morning. It can kind of all go together in one big
right.
old discussion, right?
Exactly.
Are there
Exactly.
any of these requirements that it's like, man, we've really got to make sure we understand this one, that we know how to act this one out, know how to do this as an activity requirement?
Number 13 would be good. Let's go through it quick. Briefly describe how practicing a Christian lifestyle can affect your approach to bullying. In the honor, there are some dialogues, there are some suggestions on things you could talk to or you could talk about. Let's move on to 14 because we have up to 17. So we'll just touch on these real quickly. Create a small poster illustrating the importance of bully prevention by including an action beginning with an I can or I will. Post this in a high traffic area. This could be a group project. This is something great to do, something for you to think about on how to approach bullying. I can do this or I will do this.
By the
Okay.
way, this number 14, those of you that are at British Union Conference, this would be one of those evidences that Pastor Dayon, you can post in your folder, that you can send the photo for him to post on
Great.
Wednesdays. So
Thank
that's
you.
a great
Yes,
way to show evidence of number
yes,
14.
yes. Thank you. That's right. That's right. 15. A little bit of fun. Role play or discuss scenarios where you could use at least two of the following strategies to confront bullying. And as you see, I have here, I have 7 for you to choose from, and you choose 2. You could role play. This is actually a fun. Well, unfortunately, COVID is here, but once COVID goes away, this is something with my club. We divided into 6 different groups, and each one was tasked to pick a different one. I mean, it was just so funny. This was funny, but the goal is to show you and discuss different scenarios you can see and how to avoid it. It was really good. So even in a Zoom session, some of you could go into breakout groups and
Mhm.
discuss the situation. You can come back with the main group, and you could discuss the things that you've gone over. Okay.
Hey, I've seen some incredible role plays in Pathfinder clubs via Zoom.
Yeah, this is
Because
good.
you can do the whole spotlight and have the person who's leading your Zoom choose the 3
Mhm.
or 4 in your group that are being spotlighted, and that way only your 3 pictures show up big, and then you can role play between the 3 screens.
Yeah, it's
It's
great.
very possible.
It's good.
Talk to
It's
your
good.
counselor, talk to your leader.
Good. Okay. Requirement number 16. As a group, strategize how you successfully follow bully prevention rules in each of the following situation. Now, again, we're referring to the rules that we talked about, the 4 rules.
Okay.
And you can read through these here. If you're a victim and feel bullied, if you're the bystander who sees the bullying, or if you are the bystander who sees the bullying happening, but both the bully and the victim are your friends.
Mm.
Wow. Mm,
Some
it's a
good
good requirement.
situations from different
Yeah,
places on the bully circle.
right. This is an open-ended question for self-reflection, and you guys would have fun with this particular one. The last requirement: do one of the following bully prevention activities individually or as a group. Create a strategy outlining 4 ways, okay, in which you can help become a part of the solution to verbal, physical, or prejudicial bullying, okay? Or with an adult, develop a policy for your group or even for your Pathfinder club designed to address bullying. Brainstorm guidelines, which could include a commitment to supporting commit to supporting this policy with your sphere of influence. That includes your home, your church, your Pathfinder club, your Sabbath school group, or any group that you're involved in. Okay, so this question is also designed for you Pathfinders to think outside the box and
Mm.
interact with one another. Okay, so those requirements, the majority of the requirements are designed for you to think outside the box. Think of different situations. Think of how you would apply your rules to different situations. Understand the bully circle and which role you might have played a part of in your past, or something that you're a part of right now and may not know it, but now you do. Okay.
Yeah, and
What?
Pathfinders in my life, going through this bully prevention honor when Mr. Gregory and I were working on this, and I was working a similar system developing in my school for my classes. Um, it has changed my life. Not
Mhm.
only can I help to solve situations that I encounter, but I also realize the situations that are happening around me, that sometimes I'm being bullied, or sometimes I'm just being a little bit too much and becoming a bully in a situation because I'm passionate about something or super energetic about something. And I have to pull myself back and say, you know what? I don't want to get into that high pressure situation where I'm applying too much pressure, because that's like adult level bullying. That's not
Right.
cool.
That's
And so
right.
this has been really good for me in my life to help me be a better Christian. And notice how the requirements kind of get you deeper. They start out with the what it is and all that kind of stuff, but by
Mhm.
the end, you are part of a solution that creates a better world for you and your community. All of us have the tendency to be bullies, to be part of a bully situation in some way. But this gives us a way to solve it, to collapse that circle, to create a better reality that makes all of our lives better. So, Mr.
Right.
Carmichael, thank you so much for bringing this awareness to us. Guide us through very quickly. You've got about 30 seconds, maybe 45. What do
Yeah.
we do next?
Just go through these slides real quick. Next thing, look at the bully prevention to honor. That's a definite, because that talks about the remaining three topics of bullying that were not covered in this honor. Okay. Um, this is, oh, we didn't change this
We
slide.
forgot to change that, move that on. They have already got the worksheets anyway. We forgot to
Okay.
edit those out from a previous.
These are other cool honors that we can take a look at. Again, the bully prevention tool, Christian visitation, serving communities. These are honors that work as far as a group. And guys, I encourage you to take a look at some of these honors. Okay, these are some really good honors. Social media, okay, visual media critique, small group Bible study. Okay, I encourage you guys, take a look at these honors. These are great honors for you to work on. That
Some
you just add
relational
to your,
honors.
yes, great honors, great honors.